is the regular meeting. This is the regular meeting of the Birmingham City Council. This morning, today is Tuesday, June 24th, 2025. This morning, our invocation will be delivered by Minister Janetta Perdue of New Life Church of God, and our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Counselor Jonathan Moore. So, if you're willing and able, please stand.
Good morning, everybody. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, we come on this morning and we bring the mayor and his staff, the city council and their staff, and every person working in this city government. And we bring, hallelujah, every other person that works at this city to the throne of your grace and mercy on this morning. We come, Lord, bowed down and trusting in you, thanking you for this awesome new day. Remembering yesterday is gone, and with it went every argument, distraction, disagreement, every mistake, failure, and regret. And today is a new day that the Lord has made. Teach us in this new day, Lord, to be more reliant upon you. Give us a deeper meaning of your will and ways, Lord, as we seek your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding for this city, Lord, and ways, Lord, as we seek your wisdom, knowledge, and understanding for this city, Lord Jesus. Help them in unity and let no man repay no man with evil. Help them, Lord, to work out of a pure heart, committed to serve with humility and compassion, to love their neighbors as themselves, to love themselves. Give them power, Lord Jesus, to work through their different ability to achieve a common goal. Protect them, O Lord, from every hurt, harm, or danger. Help them to put their trust in you with hurt, harm, or danger. Help them to put their trust in you with all of their heart. And lean not on their own understanding, O God, but in all their ways they shall acknowledge you, and your spirit fill this room. Lead and guide them on this morning to resolutions that will not only bless them, but bless this city in Jesus.
Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Present.
Councilmember Clark. Councilmember Moore. Here. Councilmember Smitherman.
Good morning.
Good morning. Councilmember Tate. Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Woods. Good morning. President Pro Tem Williams. Councilmember Woods. Good morning. President Pro Tem Williams.
Present. Council, at this time, the minutes are not ready for the March 3rd, 2025 through June 17th, 2025 meetings. We'll now have communications from the mayor's office.
Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, Madam Pro Tem, members of the council. Here's the mayor.
You all this morning. Good morning to the public as well. A few notes, Mr. President and council. I want to start with the World Police and Fire, but some do not. This week, more than 7,500 athletes representing law enforcement and firefighters from more than 70 country games, commonly referred to as the Games of Heroes. These athletes will compete in more than 1,600 medal events. The games have been held every other year since 1985, and Birmingham is proud to host the 21st gathering. Competition will take place at the BJCC, Legacy Arena, Balboa Auditorium, Crossplex, George Ward Park, Holland Park Golf Course, City Walk, and many more venues. The games are free and open to the public to attend, so that may have went over some people's head. The games are free and are open to the public to attend. I want to welcome all of our visitors to the Magic City for a great experience as the games start with the opening ceremony this Friday, June 27th, and continue through July 6th. The last note I want to make is just a big shout out to our own Birmingham police officers and our own Birmingham Fire and Rescue employees team members for participating in the games. And we wish them well, and we hope they win all the medals. .com. At this time, I would like to ask Crystal Mullen Johnson to join me. We want to talk about mental health awareness for Food Truck Friday. For the fourth year in a row, the City of Birmingham and Nurture of Alabama will present Mental Health Awareness Day during Food Truck Friday, this Friday, June 27th. The city is invited to come out, our employees are invited to come out to Lynn Park from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. The purpose of this event is to raise mental health resources from across the entire Birmingham area. There will be mental health resources, free chair massages, line dancing, food trucks, and more. But most importantly, we want our employees and any residents, any other employees from other employers in the vicinity to come out and know the resources that are available. Ms. Mullen Johnson is here to tell us more about this Friday, as well as the important work she does every single
Thank you, Mayor Woodfin. And good morning, Council President O'Quinn and the esteemed members of Birmingham City Council. I am Crystal Mullen Johnson. I am the president and founder of Nurture of Alabama. Our goal is to advance 2021. In addition, I am the CEO and founder of Strive Counseling Services in Birmingham, Alabama. I have been a business owner in the city for 8 years. I have a staff of 4 therapists and an office manager, and we're just grateful for the support of the city of Birmingham, continuing to support this effort for the citywide mental health day. This is our 4th year, and I think that's a really big deal. This event has grown over the past 4 years. It's going to support this effort for the citywide mental health day. This is our 4th year, and I think that's a really big deal. This event has grown over the past 4 years. It started in depression screenings, mental health consultations by licensed therapists, wellness screenings. Dr. Bivens, he's known as the oncology guru. He will actually be here on site talking about prostate health. The fun part, we will be able to indulge in some line dancing, chair massages, and also yoga sessions. We will have a 15-minute boot camp class, so we are encouraging the community, if they have not worked out that morning, that's a great place to be prepared to have some activity. Also, we will have blood pressure checks and glucose checks on that day. I have 2 great speakers. I invited a speaker out of Atlanta, Georgia, Montolito Irby. He's with the Georgia Department of Juvenile Justice, but he will provide an impactful message to encourage the community to be engaged, and I think that is really important. Wayne Rogers, he will speak on behalf of Sheriff Mark Petway. He will talk about their crisis program, which I think is really important. So again, the event is really important. Wayne Rogers, he will speak on behalf of Sheriff Mark Petway. He will talk about their crisis program, which I think is really important. So again, the event will be June 27th at Lynn Park, the perfect space for that. I think it's really attractive in the but again, I want to thank for their continued support, and I all need that. This is definitely a passion area for me, as I am approaching the death anniversary of a loved one that died by suicide this week. So, it's just vital that we share messages, and number one, just let people know they are not alone. Support is available. No one should suffer in silence. Please, if you can't come, I wanted to personally to continue to support this effort, and if there's something that I can do, I'm available to answer those. Please visit our website. Many of our initiatives, are posted there. It's Nurture, and that's NURTUREBHAM.com.
Counselor Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. First off, I just want to say thank you for bringing this information to us. Could you give us that website and that date again?
Sure, it's www.nurture, and that's NURTUREBHAM.com. And it will have details about the event, and we also have free monthly sessions, with monthly conversations about mental health. So those programs are listed on our website. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but the event is free. I mean, there's no cost. It's free for the community.
And one thing I will say is I just want to say thank you because I know that several years ago you were able to partner with Hope Church over in Inglenook and come out and share some information about the work that you're doing. And so I know that you've been doing this for quite some time and really getting this message out, which is extremely important. And I also wanted to just offer my condolences for your loss. So,
Thank you. And I want to acknowledge my amazing intern. She's an intern with Nurture for the great work that she's doing. You know, we can't accomplish these goals alone, so thank you.
All right, Counselor Woods.
Thank you. Wanted to just quickly, thank you for the work you've been doing, the consistency that you brought to it, and since you're here, wanted to make a shameless plug. We had the opportunity to work together on an ARPA project, working with some of our young people out on the eastern side of town, and so just want to thank you for your work and your partnership, and definitely encourage everyone to get out on Friday.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate y'all time. Thank you, Counselor Woods.
Thank you, Council. At this time, I would like to ask Senior Director of the Department of Community Development, Corey Stallworth, and any of his guests he has with him to join me. As he comes in, I want to share that the month of June is also recognized as National Home Ownership Month. It is a time to celebrate the benefits of home ownership and its impact on families and communities. Just has invested $16.7 million in home ownership programs. I want to repeat that, $16.7 million. That is a big deal. That is a true testament to this council's support of home ownership here in the city of Birmingham for our residents and our families. And so as we honor the important work of these professionals in helping to support home ownership in our city, I want to read a proclamation in part. And it states, whereas promoting home ownership is essential for the growth and sustainability of Birmingham's 99 neighborhoods and 23 communities, as it encourages investments in local businesses and services. And whereas the Department of Community Development is continually committed to supporting home ownership through efforts and activities including financial education, credit score repair, and will preparation and estate planning. And whereas throughout this month, we encourage residents to participate in home ownership education programs, workshops, and community events that promote the benefits of owning a home. Now, therefore, I, Randall L. Woodfin, Mayor of the City of Birmingham, along with the Birmingham City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as Home Ownership Month in Birmingham. And I want to urge all citizens to recognize the importance of home ownership and to support efforts that promote accessible housing opportunities for all. And at this time, Council, I would like to ask Corey Stallworth to share a few words and give a little bit more detail about our guests as well.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning.
Good morning.
And so I'm so excited today to celebrate all the work we have been able to do collectively to support people in maintaining their home as well as support them in home ownership. And so before I give my remarks, I want to introduce two homeowners who have been impacted by the work that we do. We couldn't invite everyone. If we did, this room would be full. But I do want to introduce Miss Belinda Wine and Miss Neighborhood, and Miss Belinda Wine was supported. We partnered with her through our critical repair program to support roof replacement, kitchen modifications, and bathroom improvements at her home. As well as we have Ms. Rosa Evans here with us today. Ms. Rosa Evans has a remarkable story as she ventured out to obtain her goal of home ownership. She was a Section 8 participant here in the city of Birmingham, and she had a goal of owning her own home. And so at the age of 65 years old, Ms. Evans purchased her first home in the Pratt City community. And so we want to celebrate them both for being remarkable citizens within our neighborhood. And so briefly, I have some short remarks to share. Today, we not just celebrate what we have been able to accomplish through brick and mortar, but we celebrate the hundreds of people leveraging our resources, public-private partnerships, and innovation. We have been able to meet people where they are and assist them in removing barriers that threaten their ability to have access to quality housing. For the past 4 years, our housing efforts have focused intentionally on preservation of existing housing stock, infill housing development through new construction and rehab of existing homes, as well as ensuring that education is made available to every citizen that desires home ownership. Through our critical repair program, we have been able to assist 250 homeowners in critical repairs, and we had homeowners in all 9 districts that we have been able to support. We have also supported 50 homeowners with down payment assistance through our Birmingham Ready to Own program, which is in partnership with Neighborhood Housing Services. We also currently have about 250 individuals that are in the pipeline that we're stewarding and working with to point them to the resources they need, whether it's credit repair or home counseling, housing counseling. And so I want to thank our mayor, Mayor Randall Woodfin, for being a champion and supporting in this work to give people the option for home ownership, as well as the council for supporting us through the allocations of ARPA funding, as well as through supporting when we made recommendations to the council for approval. As well as I would like to thank our Community Development Department, our director, Dr. Megan Venable Thomas, as well as our team that works tirelessly to support our residents. And we do have some of them here today, our housing team that is in the audience, as well as yes. Last but not least, I would like to thank our partners who we could not do this work without. Over 100 partners that we work with, whether it is housing counseling, housing development, or critical repair, of making pathways to equity and generational wealth through home ownership possible for our residents of the city of Birmingham. Thank you.
Councilor Clark.
Yeah, so I just want to congratulate the mayor and everyone standing. And I know y'all know I'm personally tied to some of this work in my private life, but there's a young lady standing up there who, you know, Corey, Mr. Stallworth alluded to her story, but she makes me proud to go to work every day because she wasn't just a Section 8 voucher holder. She lived in Southtown when I worked at Southtown. And she was able to get a voucher when when people were relocated. And I kept up with her because she was also a standout on the janitorial crew at Encompass Health, and the facility manager, so Corporate Realty managed Encompass Health, and the facility manager there said, oh, you got to meet Ms. at Southtown, who I stayed in touch with. And we had to create, as the private developer partner, we had to create economic opportunities for business. Ms. Rosa and her daughter signed up. COVID happened, and she wasn't the most computer literate, but that didn't stop her because the class was online. She went to her daughter's house, and the two of them took the co-starters class. Then she, fast forward, after she launched Miss E's cleaning service, and we referred her some clients who she still has today, including my cousin. She cleaned for him every week until he died. So This is a woman who is determined and, you know, an example of someone who you just place a door in front of them and they're going to walk through it and never look back. So lo and behold, I'm at work. She walks through the door and I'm like, what are you doing here? She's like, what are you doing here? And it wasn't a straight line or easy journey to the closing table, but she stuck with it and we stuck with it. And she has a beautiful home, paying less than she was paying. And she was somebody with a voucher who didn't use her voucher. She worked and paid her own rent, but just had that voucher just in case. And I know she's Melissa Smiley's cousin because she saw her on a video and said, that's my cousin Nell. And I'm like, that's not Nell, that's Miss Rosa. She's like, no, that's Nell. And, and you know, so home ownership does more than provide a home. It is a way to build wealth. But for Miss Rosa, it was a way to show her family too, that she's somebody, you know? And it changed the relationship. And I know she's gonna shoot me for saying all this, but that is my dear friend, Miss Rosa, and client. Thank you.
Councilman Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, you know, a lot of times as counselors, you know, when we're walking around our districts and we're talking to different people in the neighborhoods, you get a chance to meet some really good people and have some really good conversations. And depending on how those conversations go, you might even get invited into some people's houses, right? And, you know, be able to actually see how people are living and, you know, see some of the challenges that they may face. And Miss Wine is one of those people that I had an opportunity to meet as I was walking around in Inglenook. I remember having to climb up that long hill to get to the top of your steps. And I remember her, you know, saying like, hey, you know, we need not only help in this neighborhood, but I need help, you know, with some of the different things in my home and some of the repairs that need to be made. And even made sure she reminded me again at a Woodlawn Sunday dinner. I remember, I ain't forgot. And, you know, it's a beautiful thing that we had 250 people that were able to take advantage of, you know, this opportunity. But obviously, as we know, it's so many more that, you know, need assistance with critical of, you know, this opportunity. But obviously, as we know, it's so many more that for housing repair. And I, mayor, everybody in community development, everybody on this council, if we could, we would fund every single person. But that's just not possible, right? And so, you know, but it is reassuring and it gives hope when you're new. I'm just grateful and thankful that, you know, you were able to receive that assistance and that it went to a good place because you are an awesome, awesome, beautiful person. So thank you, Ms. Warren. And thank you, community development, too. I'll say this and then I'll shut up. There are so many vacancies in our city. It's a lot. And I truly believe that the silver bullet to a lot of the issues that we have in the city of Birmingham is going to be home ownership and us being able to build homes, build houses. When you think about it, that corrects the vacancies, that corrects the illegal dumping, that corrects, you know, a lot of the burned down structures and things of that nature that we see in our city because it puts eyes on the street, it puts, you know, people in a home, and it truly builds a neighborhood, truly builds a community with people that care. And so the work that you all are doing is instrumental, it is impactful, and I'm thankful and grateful for the work that y'all are doing. So thank you.
All right. Councilor Abbott.
Thank you, Mr. President. Well, congratulations. I think that the thing that I've noticed is that all of the recipients of help and home ownership, everybody has had such a big smile on their face. Obviously, home ownership makes you happy, and having people help you with your dire problems with your home makes you happy. But I agree with what Counselor Moore said. Home ownership is the key. I drive through the city a lot in different neighborhoods, and we have a lot of really trashy neighborhoods. And I believe the reason is that people don't own their own homes, and so they don't have pride in the neighborhood. If you're renting, you're a wonderful person, but you can move anytime you want to go to a better place. A homeowner wants the place where his or her home is to be better because, they're not leaving, they're not picking up and going. So I think it's really important that we're doing this work because it helps people get a home, stay in a home, and live a good life in their home. If your roof is dripping and you're sleeping at night and it's dripping in your house, you can't sleep because with every drip, you think about the fact that your house is decaying and you're still in it and that situation. And when they get a new roof or they get help with plumbing or electrical or whatever, or a new ramp, these are all such impactful things. And I think that community development is doing a great job with that. I did want to ask a question about this paper. The units that are listed here, are those completed units this year? Or where are we in this list?
Yes, so if you're speaking to the housing developments, those are all in progress, as it stands. So that means that we have executed agreements with those partners, and they're either somewhere of breaking ground or already in the middle of the, construction process.
Okay, so I was really happy to see how much rehab we're doing because I think we ought to take care of what we've got instead of just building new. But obviously, if you've already demolished a house on a piece of property, you need some new construction. So what percentage of these units that are listed on this page right here have people in them?
Say that one more time. I missed the last end.
How have people in them now? Or occupied, finished?
Yes. So I would say we're probably at about 50% because a couple of those are very large developments. When you think about Shadowbrook, that has about 50 houses in itself that we'll be developing, and that site is just breaking ground today. So they're starting construction on that. So I would say somewhere around 50%, and then we'll work through the next year to complete the rest of them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
All right. All right, thank you.
One last note, Mr. President and Council. I want to talk to you about a complex issue we've been dealing with for years that has been compounded in the last 55 days. And that is weed abatement and horticulture cutting grass. Just a note that in the month of May, out of 31 days, it rained 21 of it. Again, it rained 21 of 31 days in May. And then so far for the month of June of 24 days, it has rained 15 of them. If you're doing the math, in the last 55 days, it's rained 36 of the last 55 days. That is a significant amount of rain in our city. As I shared with you, beginning of June, this past May was the third wettest May in our city's history. And I think we average about 5. Whatever our average is in June has already exceeded it with 7 days remaining in the month. I'm going to share that with you because, as you know, like a citizen who owns their own property, two things happen when it rains. You either get behind in cutting grass, and at the exact same time, grass grows faster. That compounds a problem on a citizen who owns their own property. Two things happen when it rains. You either get behind in time, grass grows faster. That compounds a problem on already a complex issue as to what role is city right away. And we have a significant amount of city right-of-way that we are responsible for, and city properties. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but it's a significant amount of city right-of-way that we are first responsible for. City parks in partnership with Park and Rec, as well as city facilities that have, that require horticultural lawn maintenance. And so private lots continue to be a challenge. Now, I do have an update that I think it's worth reading, because you need to know, even with the challenges of rain, the Department of Public Works, PEP, and private contractors, that this council has approved $2 million plus just this fiscal year that ends June 30th of contracting out to engage private lots. Despite the rain between June 30th and June 20th, DPW cut 400 acres and serviced 645 blocks, just window I named. And somehow, even in all this rain, people are still littering because DPW crews collected 1,582, which is the equivalent of 60 gallons of bags of litter June 13th and June 20th. In the same week of June 13th through June 20th, private lots cut in code violation by, I'm sorry, let me read that. Private lots in code violation cut by private property is a significant low number, only 10. Private lots in code violation cut by city contractors was 78. And then private lots in code violation for the year so far cut by private property owners has been 403, which again is low. We have to continue to work with the state to find laws of their own private property, because every time we go on private property, that's less public tax dollars towards city public right-of-way that needs to be spent on private property, which none of us want to do, except the private owner next door who's doing that part, which I'm going to get to in a minute. This is an issue for them. And then private lots in code violation cut by city contractors since the beginning of the year has been 1,453. A point I want to make is, again, the contractors are behind. The city is behind with its own city right-of-way because of the last 55 days, you've had 36 days of rain. The other point I want to note is one of encouragement and a request to our citizens to appeal to their goodwill. We have a team member, city employee by the name of Sade Hammond, who has been very passionate for the number of years I've known her about keeping Birmingham beautiful, helping clean up Birmingham. You all have participated with her individually in your own districts with cleanup days and so many other efforts to support partnering with your residents, your neighborhood associations, et cetera, to clean up our city. She had a public question, which I think is a great question. Do you even know what it takes to cut a private lot? Because the city of Birmingham, with your public tax dollars, can't legally just go on, or your slum neighbor or whoever, your neighbor's not doing their part. But the city does trigger a process and create a process. And it takes a while before a private contractor, through a contract with the city of Birmingham, can go on that private lot, which includes going through the permits, engineering, planning department, which also includes going through the legal department, the finance department, and a vote before the city council. And that is to get all that before you get it back to a contractor to be added to a list. So it takes a significant amount of time to cut a private lot. But she also made some points that I think are worth sharing with you all. She said the reality is local city leaders don't make the laws, and she's right. A lot of this is state law of Alabama, that even unfortunately, the absentee owner or the slum owner still has rights that prevents the city from just taking immediate action, and we have to go through legal process based on state laws. But she also made some other points. And this is the point I want to appeal to residents across our city. See, challenge neighbors to do their continue to age. Birmingham has a age and or aging population. And you get complaints, you get calls, you get emails from seniors who may stay next to one of these empty lots that we don't own. So yes, we push the city on the property we own. We continue to work with Caroline Douglas and her board, the land bank, to push them on the property they own. But for the private lots, she simply made an appeal to residents across the city. Support that elder, support that senior. You see that lot. You are a neighbor in that block, that street, that neighborhood. Help that neighbor cut that lot, because it may take the city a while to hold that private owner accountable and go through a process to even get on the list to cut. And then, by the way, I think we all know with the complex deal that the city can come back and just keep cutting the private lot is not only not realistic, it will not happen. And so I share this with the council because I think it needed to be stated with the challenges we've had with rain that already has us behind in cutting our own city right away. And then you tag on the number of private lots. So I appeal to you and I appeal to the general public in your block, in your street, in your neighborhood, help seniors, help elders who may stay next to one of them. Mr. President and Council, that concludes the mayor's report.
Yes, sir. I just want to the public, while you're mentioning that topic, there is not a week that goes by that the city council and, supported by city staff and the mayor's office is not dealing with hundreds, many hundreds of private property nuisances. You look at today's agenda, literally items 1 through 14, each one of those containing multiple properties. Some of them, I think item 14 has like 300 or 400 properties alone in it. These are all private properties that, the city is trying to address nuisances on. So it's a huge issue for us, and one that's, greater than our capacity to address just by itself from the position of city government. I mean, again, these are private properties, these private property owners expenditure, and now it's, technically not the city's problem. It's not the city's asset, but it's the city's problem that we have to deal with. And those are resources that we're not, expending elsewhere for a lot of other needs that are present in the city. So to the citizens out there, that are interested in this issue, any given week, just pick up an agenda, go to the city's website, download the agenda from the city clerk's webpage, and you will see every single week hundreds of private property nuisances that we are dealing with. So just wanted to point that out, that this is property that the city doesn't own. And yet we're expending massive resources of money and staff time to address.
Yes, sir.
Councilor Clark.
Already being said, and offer some other perspectives. I do agree with everything that's been said and wish or hope that residents will do more to at least take care of the environment immediately around them. Another issue other than, we do have the silver tsunami, but the other issue is heirs property. So we've lost population since 1960, and many of the people, some of it was due to death and out-migration, but people have abandoned properties or died without wills and proper estate planning, or they willed their one house to their 5 children who couldn't agree on what to do with it. So we, in some cases, there is no one to take responsibility. And so there's that. But the city will get around to it maybe once every other growing season. So that's your opportunity to keep it clean and green. So on my block, around classic time, everybody expects, well, maybe the city's gonna cut this because this classic is coming and they're cleaning up for the classic. So then after you clean it, it's up to us in my block to keep it that way. And so we try to chip in and just try to keep the clean and green going. To me, that's the best option, to try to piggyback when the city comes in. It's now at a manageable height for a normal person to do it without a bush hog. And so chip in and, pay someone on the block to cut it or whatever. But, it's a chance to come together and solve something for yourselves. And we do a reasonable job in my block. It does get tiring to always be the one paying, but.
But that's the point, right? That it always doesn't have to be pay. It's a significant, there's blight busters and there's other neighbors who get together and have a grass cutting party. I know that sounds silly, but sometimes we just gotta help our neighbor next door. We spend a significant amount of time and resources trying to track down absentee owners. That takes a lot of time from the everyday work that the team can be doing out here for city property and city right away. The point is, we want to encourage neighbors to use your example, not just during October, but especially, April, May, June, July, and August when grass is at its highest. And like lock in on those seniors and elders who may stay next to one. Because if you're waiting for the city, that's a process that unfortunately takes a while. It's not slow, it's not fast, those who may stay next to one.
Council Moore?
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, a lot of times, like Mr. President said, we get, calls, emails all the time about, private lots that need to be cut, right? And, the thing that's always said is, the city the city is responsible for, but each time I walk into this chamber, I have to look up at this wall and it says, the people are the city. And so I know that people mean they want city government to be the ones to come and cut the grass, right? But I agree with you, Mayor. I agree with the council. The people are the city. Each and every citizen that lives in the city of Birmingham should take ownership of this issue that we have, right? We know that there are stipulations, there are, regulations that, bind the city government from doing things on people's private properties. But that does not stop folks from being a good neighbor. A wise man once told me, if you see somebody that needs help, just help them. Just help them, right? And I think that there are several able-bodied people that are able to get out here and, do just that. I know that several councilors gave money to the Magic City Tool Bank that has provided the opportunity for you to have equipment to be able to go out and do this work. There's really no excuse. Like, you can complain and you can fuss and you can, say whatever you want to, but there's an opportunity and there's a pathway forward to addressing it. Last thing I'll say is over in Norwood, there's a lady that lives on the corner. She's probably like 75 years old. Like, kid you not. Her name is Miss Hatton. And if you pass by her house, you'll see her outside with an electric lawnmower cutting the grass. And by nature, as a young black man, you see somebody who's an elder out there cutting the grass, you just like, hey, wait, what are you doing? Like, let me stop you. Let me get out here and help you and do this for you. And she will tell you no. I've seen it several times. She stopped several men from helping her. And when I got on and asked her why, she was like, well, baby, number one, I have the ability to do it. Like, I have the ability and the strength to do it. And number two, like, I want to. I care about my neighborhood. I care about my yard. Now, I'm not saying that every 75-year-old should, be out there cutting their grass or, anything like that. But what I am saying is that if Ms. Hatton can take the initiative and do it, then some of us who are younger, who are able, who see the issues, we can do our part as well. And so just wanted to share that.
Chaz Mitchell, how much in the current budget is in weed abatement? 2.7. Current budget that ends June 30th next week has $2.7 million for this. Again, every dollar we spend towards this, that's money away from city public right away. This year's recommended, next year's July 1's budget is recommended that goes up an additional 300,000, so it's 3 million. 3 million will not allow the city of Birmingham to get to every lot multiple times. So it's just, again, managing expectations here. It's not realistic. So although we have contractors for that 3 million, we want to encourage those same contractors, any people who have lawn services. You know, as a lawyer, I have to do pro bono work, that you can, engage in some pro bono services and help those seniors and elders who may stay next to one of these while you're out doing services for pay for another client. So just wanted to make that point as well.
Yep, Counselor Abbott.
Thank you. This makes me laugh. I'm 73 years old and I mow my yard and 3 others. So 75 is nothing. So my question though is trees. When a tree falls off of the right-of-way onto private property, are we going onto the private property and removing that tree?
Yes, so twofold, when a tree on private property falls on city right of way, we have to clear that city right of way. If a tree on private property falls on a power line into city right of way, Alabama Power has to engage first. And if a tree on city right of way falls onto a power line, Alabama Power has to clear first. Related to, I think your question was, I want to repeat it so I can get it right.
The tree owned in the insurance business, that tree becomes yours when it gets on your property. Are we going on private property and removing trees that have fallen off the right-of-way?
That is a good question. I think
And is that legal to do because you're providing a service on a piece of private property with public money?
I know this, there's an entire process related to a city right-of-way tree falling on private property where I think there's a claim process, a legal process, but related to the actual removal of the tree, I would have to ask legal and the Department of Public Works what's that process, instead of standing here and make up an answer that I don't know fully A through Z.
Okay, because people have asked, lots of trees are falling right now.
I've noticed.
And there's a rumor out there that the city is actually going on private property and removing the trees. And I don't know whether it's a rumor or whether it's the truth or whether somebody just made it up to irritate people. But if we have to go through this gigantic process to cut grass, how can we go on private property and expend public funds removing a tree? See, it's just a bigger piece of grass.
Yes. So, Counselor, it's two things. One, we do consult with the property owner because we do get clearance from them before we go on. So we investigate if it's fallen out of the right-of-way into their property, but staff generally doesn't just go on private property for removal because we do have to investigate it. But we're going to give you all the process that they use to vet and determine when and how they go on.
Okay, but is it legal to use public money to remove a tree on private property?
It was originally, yeah, if it was originally on city right away, that's we have a responsibility.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
Counselor Smith, I'm
But
sorry.
see, in the real world, that's not the way it works. So I'm just concerned about what we're doing to make sure we're, doing what's right. Because in the real world, if my neighbor's tree falls in my yard or on my house, as soon as it crosses the property line, it becomes my tree.
That's private to private.
Well,
if it's in
but
the
we're
public-
going on private property to remove a tree that, yes, it fell off of our right-of-way, but what does the law say about us expending public money to remove a tree on the big process? Why don't we have to go through a big process to expend public funds to clear a tree off of private property? That's the question.
Mr. President.
Get you an answer.
Well, I was just gonna say, I think it may be different too, because a lot of times in these private property situations to talk to or consult with, to be able to get permission to go on their property. Whereas in the situation where a tree falls on private property where there is an owner there, you all can consult with them. My challenge has been though, where, it's been deemed as an act of God, in that situation where a tree falls off of public right-of-way onto a private property, individuals have not been able to get assistance because it has been deemed an act of God. And so if there is a way or pathway forward to be able to assisting them, I have a couple of folks that have reached out and, stated like, hey, this was on the public right-of-way, it fell off, it fell onto my property and damaged either my gate or my roof or whatever, and I need assistance. And so,
We have to make a clear delineation between acts of God
absolutely.
and actually having notice, right? We get calls weekly about a tree on city right of way that may be hovering over private property. And Public Works does their due diligence, investigates, and if it presents a problem, it could be a potential problem in the future, they do trim back that tree and or do escalate it to what it needs to be escalated to. But yes, acts of God, totally different. And those situations are assessed differently. I'm the wrong person to speak to it. Let us have the folk that actually deal with this between legal and Public Works give you some more detail about the actual A through Z, what happens if a actual tree on city right-of-way, city property, falls onto private property.
I'd just like to know, because I'd like to be able to give an honest answer to people when they ask me, and right now, I can give them the insurance company answer, but I can't give them a city answer.
Here you go, section 2-3, section 2-5-315. Duties and responsibilities as it relates to dead or deceased trees removed on private property. The city shall have the right to cause the removal of any dead or deceased tree on private property within the city when such tree constitute a hazard of life and property or harbor insects or disease, which constitute a potential threat of other trees within the city. I told you two of the departments, but there's another department, PEP. It states that the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits will notify the owner of such trees in writing, requiring the removal of the dead or deceased tree by said owners. Now, this doesn't include acts of God, and it doesn't include notification if a private owner gives the city notice of a city tree right away over their property. But I imagine in the code, there are things that speak to that as well. Just need to find it, that's all.
What was that?
Well, I'm willing to wait. I mean, I don't have to have an answer instantly. I just want to know what the accurate answer to give people is. And I've searched around, and our new tree ordinance is going to have something in there about the tree having the authority, dangerous tree that will endanger the public, but that's not there yet. So we don't have to decide right now, but we just need an answer later. 2-5-315, I thought he said.
What was that code again, Mr. Mayor? If you don't mind.
1 second, sir, I'm sorry. That's section 2-5-321.
Oh, 321.
Yeah. Dead tree removal section.
Councilor Smithman, you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. A lot of times situations and what I hear about are overgrown lots that have gotten to the point where honestly, somebody can't go with a regular lawnmower. And so, I really want to do education or find some emergency plan for those type of situations because we have absentee property owners. I understand it's private, but then it becomes a public health nuisance for those neighbors when they have rodents going into their homes, et cetera. So I know we have an ordinance coming based off the new state law that we were able to get passed to help us. But I would love to give the public an update on that and also educating them on those overgrown lots. I would also, and this kind of go piggyback more on Council Moore, partnerships with churches, for example, to go out there and do service days once a month, quarterly, get the men together. I think it'd be good for you, Council Moore, Council Woods, like the men of the council and the mayor to get together and talk to them, because that would be a way to get our neighborhood back. Because, you know, as everyone says, something has to change with these overgrown lots. And, you know, like I said, I just really have a lot of concern about those lots where you literally have to have a professional to cut it, for example. So, if you could just help us, help out, that would really help out a lot, and educate people on this issue as well.
Council Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just shot you an address of two residences in Eastwood, and I really need some help leaning in on enforcement on those, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Council Woods.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just gonna add some context to the, weed abatement tree combo. I've always described it as the process being different because in the weed abatement process, we're actually putting a lien on the property, whereas, you know, there's a voluntary, approval process, so. But yeah, if that's not 1,000% correct, I definitely would like, feedback on that as well, but thank you.
Yeah, I think to your point, Counselor, Caroline Douglas with the land bank has a lot of challenges with the state, but we can't forget the county has a role to play in this as well. The impact of the county's tax lien sale that puts no obligation on the tax lien holder, right? That between the county and the state, this issue can be way more efficient if they held the owner more accountable. They have no responsibility and all the onus ends up being on the city. That's actually just, it's not right, right? Because as Councilor Moore said, the average citizen, their frustration and their anger or their whatever, how they emotionally feel about the situation, by the way, which is warranted, how they feel, but about 99.9% of the time is directed at the city of Birmingham, not the actual owner. And even when the city does its part of sending notice and or putting a lien on it, we still take the brunt of the anger and or the responsibility when it's not ours. So we definitely need the county and the state to step up and help manage this issue.
Pro Tem Alexander.
Yes, thank you very much. I did just want to, first of all, thank you for bringing up the subject today about the public-private, as well as everyone very much. I did just want you for bringing lots, and I know, as well as everyone else, and how we're able to go out and so I thank you. I do want to thank DPW and staff. They came out and we had made a plea to get right-of-ways and things cut in the West Brownville neighborhood. They were just really about to go under with all of a number of lots that were uncut. So thank you. We saw that those right-of-ways were cut, and some private owners actually stepped in and cut some of those lots. It didn't clean up the entire neighborhood, but it did make a difference, so thank you. And I did also want to piggyback Councilor Smitherman and Councilor Moore. I actually had a meeting last week with representatives from the Birmingham Baptist Bible College, and they are trying to initiate something very similar to what you're talking about with the District 7 churches and clergy and service days, and they want to sort of inspire the churches in the district. So I'll get you all, make you aware of that so that we can sort of spread that out. But that was something that came to us and wanted to really seek out and help residents in the district. So thank you. That's sort of starting. So thank you.
Yeah, one other resource that I'll point out for those residents that, you know, may be dealing with a situation where, you know, the private lot the weeds have gotten beyond the ability of, you know, a person with a lawnmower managing, is that the tax information for those properties is available through the city's GIS mapping page, or you can go to Jefferson County and get the same information along with the tax records. But all of those properties will have, at a bare minimum, an address for the, tax information to go to. So oftentimes, that's very easily to find. Sometimes there's even the name of a registered agent associated with those tax records. So it's something that's readily available, and there's nothing barring a private resident from sending a letter to the address associated with tax information, and asking them, to address the issue. So, I know in the District 5 office, we're happy to help people, get that information. It's, super easy to use the GIS mapping page and pull that information and just, literally within a matter of one additional step that that residents can take to try and compel the property owner to address the situation.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
All right. That brings us back to our agenda. At this time, I'll read our statement on the conduct of business. All items designated as consent are routine and non-controversial and will be approved by one motion. All items on the consent agenda will be announced by reading the item numbers only. No separate discussion of these items will be permitted unless a council member or the mayor requests the item be removed from the consent agenda. Additionally,
Page 7. Page 7, item 3. Page 10, item 4. Page 11, item 5. Page 13, item 6. Page 17, items 7 and 8. Page 20, item 9. Please note on item 9, property number 481 should be withdrawn, and that is on page 29. Page 30, 481 on page 29. On page 30, pick back up with the consent agenda with items 10 and 11. Page 36, items 12 and 13. Page 37, items 14, 16, and 17. Page 38, items 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. Please note correction on item 23. It should say to adopt and not further amend. That's item 23, an ordinance to adopt. Page 39. Items 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, and 29 are on consent. Page 40, items 30, 31, 32, 33, and 34. Page 41, items 35, 36, and 37. On item 36, note that it was recommended by Budget and Finance. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Fourth line from the bottom. Fifth line from the bottom. Strike dollars after the $7,500. Page, and also on 37, have a couple of changes. The amount should be $6,000 instead of $3,000. And we're adding an additional $7,000 from District 7. I'm sorry, an additional $3,000. That would have been 10 from District 7 to make it $6,000. So that's GL account number 001 underscore 000 underscore 042 -70 452.001. Page 42, items on consent are 40 and 41. Items 38 and 39 should be withdrawn. That's items 38 and 39. Page 43, items 42, 43, 44, and 45 are on consent. Item 46 should be withdrawn. Page 44, items 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, and 52 are on consent. Page 45, items 53, 54, 55, and 56 are on consent. Page 46, items 57, 58, 59, and 61 are on consent. And we have one addendum item, and I'll just add the funding source for the addendum item. If you give me a second here, 001-028_01600-527-050, and that's OCA Professional Services.
Are there any members of the council that wish to add or remove an item from the consent agenda? Councilor Abbott.
Mr. President, I would like to remove items 16 through 33 on various pages.
All right.
Starts on page 37. Through 40.
Okay. Any additional items?
Mr. President, can we place item 62 on consent?
All right.
It's a addendum. We heard
Yes,
yesterday
it's
in
the
budget and
addendum
finance.
item. That's the one that is, the account number is OCA Professional Services. Okay. We also have several public hearing items that are on the consent agenda. That's items 1 through 14. Are there any members of the public who wish to remove any of the items 1 through 14, the public hearing items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, we're ready for a motion on the consent agenda.
So move.
We're ready for the vote.
Motion, Councilmember Smitherman, Councilmember Moore, second. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed,
Consent agenda is approved. So our first item is on number 15.
item number 15. Item 15, a resolution assenting to the vacation of the following 481 square feet of the right-of-way. It is located parallel to and between Tripoli Street and Hibernian Street and perpendicular to and between Lacey Road and Maple Avenue, so that the owner can consolidate property on behalf of the city of Birmingham. Owners in the hearing of all interested parties, case number SUB 25-33.
Second.
All right, Councilor Moore, you have a question?
No, don't have a question. Wanted to give, Mr. Roger Glow an opportunity to bring forth the item.
Yes.
Good morning. My name is Roger Glow, and I serve as the subdivision planner for the city of Birmingham in the Department of Planning, Engineering, and Permits. And this is item SUB 2025, case number 33, which is a resolution to determine whether the city council will give its assent to the vacation of 481 square feet of right-of-way so that the owner can consolidate his property. On April 23rd, 2025, the subdivision committee of the Birmingham Planning Commission recommended approval of this item to the full council. On May 6, 2025, Community Development Committee forwarded this vacation with a full recommendation for a favorable recommendation. If you have any questions about this project, we do have people that can answer those questions.
Is there anybody here from the public to speak for or against this item? Anybody on the council? Seeing none, I'll pass it back to you, Mr. President.
Okay, all right, thank you, Councilor Moore. We're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay.
All right, item 15 is approved. Item 16, Councilor Abbott, do you want to consider all of the budget items together or individually?
Oh, I think all of them together.
Councilor Clark?
If we could, not consider number 31 and 32 with all the others.
Okay.
So we're
Clerk,
leaving
do you-
out 31,
You follow
32?
that? Items 16 through 33, with the exception of 31 and 32, we'll consider individually.
Okay. I'll read all of them.
So. Why?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
So all of items 16 through 33 are all annual budget items. And my question to Councilor Abbott, since she removed them from the consent agenda, was would she like for us to consider them individually or all at the same time? And she said, you know, we can consider them at the same time, except Councilor Clark wants to consider items 31 and 32 individually.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so item 16. An ordinance to adopt the general fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 17, a resolution confirming the previous capital budget appropriation. Oops. Item 18, an ordinance to adopt the general bond debt reserve fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 19, in order to adopt the tax increment financing fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. Item 20, in ordinance to adopt the neighborhood allocation fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 21, in ordinance to adopt the highway improvement fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 22, an ordinance to adopt the fuel tax fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 23, an ordinance to adopt the stormwater fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 24, an ordinance to adopt the corrections fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025. Item 25, an ordinance to adopt the fair trial tax fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. Item 26, an ordinance to adopt the sporting and entertainment recruiting fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. Item 27, an ordinance to adopt the Rebuild Alabama Act Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. Item 28, an ordinance to adopt the Capital Improvement Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. Item 29, an ordinance to adopt the Neighborhood Revitalization Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. Item 30, an ordinance to adopt the Birmingham Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May 20th, 2025. And then we go to item 33, an ordinance to approve and accept the 1% cost of living allowance for the 2025-2026 fiscal year for all applicable employees of the city effective July 1st, 2025.
Okay, so do we have a motion on item 16 through 30, and item 33.
So move.
Okay, discussion. Counselor Abbott.
Yes. The reason I pulled all this off is that the council has not had a discussion amongst ourselves about the budget. We all, well, some of us turned in budget questions, and we received them last Wednesday, and not all of them were answered. And some of the answers caused more questions, in my mind anyway. So the reason I took it off was that I wanted to suggest that possibly we delay it 1 week and actually have a meeting to discuss our concerns about the budget. I have concerns. I don't know whether any of you have the same concerns I have, because we're not allowed to talk to each other in private. We have to talk in public at a meeting because of the Open Meetings Act. So I thought about it a lot during the night when I wasn't sleeping, and that was a lot of the night. And so that's the reason that I have pulled this off for our consideration.
Is that a motion?
It is.
All right. So the motion for 1 week delay from Counselor Abbott. Is there a second?
Second.
All right.
But the motion needs to include us having a meeting, because if we're not going to have a meeting to talk with each other, there's no point in delaying it.
My issue is something that I think that can be rectified when we look at the BJCTA's contract. But the service that's being provided to the citizens has been, in my mind, completely unacceptable. And then for them to come up here and say that their reliability was 58% in all of 2024. I want to repeat that, 58% in all of 2024. So, I don't know of any employer that would allow you to be on time 58% of the time. So, it's effectively useless. It's not reliable. And after we discussed it the other week, my office has phone lit up like a Christmas tree and tons of emails of, the bus, I've been left this many times, just tons and tons of people reached out, please help me. Now they're saying they won't pick me up because my zip code is this. Just crazy stuff. Since I've been on this council, we've increased the amount of money by over double that we are giving the BJCTA. And I don't know that the products that we're getting back or the reliability of those products is where it needs to be to give them over double what we were giving 8 years ago. Now, I know there's Bus Rapid Transit, which the city funded with the help of a federal grant, and not the BJCTA on its own. They're just operating it. But, tons of issues with transit in my district, and it's really frustrating to get the litany of reach out from all these folks, because the majority of them are not in my district. But I spoke up last week, and people feel a problem with the BJCTA. And I think that their presentation says it all when their reliability is 58% of the time they're going to show up. So anyway, my issue is with that. I think it could be corrected when we look at the contract for the BJCTA, and maybe not the budget. But I just have a lot of heartburn about city tax dollars going to something that works 58% of the time.
All right. So, Councilor Woods.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think I've been here for a little while, and the council process has been a little bit different every year. So I've had to adjust to that. We sent questions in. I didn't see my questions on the list that got sent to the administration. I had to have a lot of one-on-one meetings with different departments to get the answers I needed. I spent an hour yesterday meeting about what our actual functionality and plan was around the unhoused population. Spent many hours kind of working on what we're doing for youth and youth sports. And so you know, every year's been different. I know we have met in the past. You know, this year we've been largely, everyone's dealt with their own issues kind of one at a time. So I'm open to anything, but I think we're here now. And so if there are some significant concerns, I would recommend, let's talk about it now while we're in a meeting. So I'm open to having that conversation presently.
Mr. President, and I'm fine with that. In fact, I will just say right now that my concerns have to do with enforcement of the city codes, housing, and all other codes, and the volunteering of the police to do some enforcement is not enough, because the kind of enforcement that I need in my district is housing code enforcement, like people going out to check on things and cite people, and we have no additional people for that kind of enforcement. And if we ever pass an STR ordinance, it's going to require personnel to administer it, because they have made it so convoluted and difficult to deal with. And who's going to enforce it? So enforcement is my big issue, and I didn't see anything in the budget that was going to help us.
Okay. Counselor Smitherman?
Yes, and, I agree with Councilman Williams about the BJCTA. I was discussing with him about the app, for example, and, residents aren't, over exaggerating about the level of difficulty to really be able to get a ridership. I think, that's a further discussion we need to have with them, because if we look at the numbers, really the west side, so 5 through 9, a lot of people ride the bus. And so sometimes people can't afford to have a car, or it's just easier, to take the bus from your house to the doctor. And so we're talking about people's livelihood. And so I do have a big concern with that, and also increasing the ridership, because I know they tell us the numbers, but when, I'm coming out of my law office, I see 2, 3, 4 people on the bus. And and that's something we really need to discuss with them, as well as I agree with Council Abbott on code enforcement and also animal control. I've had a lady, I was at a neighborhood meeting, she was at the doctor's office, and another lady had a huge bite from a dog, to the point that, I showed the pictures to my sisters, and nurse, she said her bite was so bad she couldn't get stitched up, for example. And I know I've seen an increase in dogs, and so I think, we just need some more discussion around enforcement. It's not a knock to the mayor's office, but making sure our people have the needs, BDOT with traffic calming. For example, I have Washington K through 8, where, we've been waiting for a few years to get this four-way stop for our kids. And, the school system, I don't know why they don't have money in the budget for cross guards, but they can't even get a cross guard because the school doesn't have money for it, for example. So I think it's just really the little things that need to be worked on and need to be tweaked as well.
Okay. Counselor Woods?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think initially I did want to just throw a comment in around the STR potential ordinance. Councilor Abbott mentioned. I agree. Like, if something does go forward with that, and to be clear, that's a separate thing. But if something does go forward with that, I think that something needs to be written into the ordinance around those dollars that generates in third party oversight in terms of the enforcement issues. That way, you kind of can triage the issues down to things that BPD actually needs to respond to, and you get a record of every issue. And so I think that consideration needs to be built into any potential ordinance. But at the same time we're having this conversation, I think it's important to ensure that the concerns are budget related. And so, I think BJCTA, I think, there's still a lot of room to improve, but I think it's looking at it as a trend. And, what was the on-time percentage 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago versus what it is now. And clarity on if you're saying you want to not fund it or increase fund, like what is the actual desired action around the BJCTA piece. But no, I think the enforcement piece, I think that is a need. I think we did get some insight on that last week, but I think, holding people accountable in terms of arrest, because like, if people are actually getting arrested for defying municipal court orders, you're gonna have a lot fewer people doing it, which lightens the workload, and so I think that kind of feeds into itself, but yeah, I did just want clarity on the BJCTA piece around action item.
Council Williams, you want to respond to that?
This is just responding, yeah, my initial thought was to do what we did, or I think we did 7 years ago, 8 years, I don't remember. But, give them 50% and then have 50% if they're able to, get any kind of result that looks like tax dollars should be spent on it. But, if we wanna, if it's the will of the council that we look at it through more of a contractual way and we allocate the money today and then we have something in the contract for them to do, that's fine with me too. I don't care how we get there. I just care about the fact that that we have transit can be a lot of things. Transit could be just for those that absolutely need it, or we could have a robust transit city like other cities across the United States. Smaller cities, larger cities. Baldwin County, Alabama has a great program, so we don't have to look to Chicago or New York. It can be done in this state despite all the excuses. So I don't care how we get there. We just have to have something better for our citizens.
Chief Mitchell, you don't just give me a head nod here. So as I recall it, the agreement with BJCTA, those payments are made quarterly. Yes, okay, that's correct. All right. Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. I feel like, this isn't the only budget day of the year. Every Tuesday is budget day. Money's moving all year long. And I'm not sure we're making decisions ever with really great real-time information throughout the budget year as the budget, is being implemented. So, my concern is not whether we pass this today or at a special call meeting later this week. It's like, how are we going to be equipped with, budget reconciliation information we've asked for, like quarterly or, I'm not a finance professional, so, giving me pointing to where a bunch of data exists in, I need some pie charts and some high-level information, not something I've got to figure out. So, I feel like, it's our job to have better budget tracking information and not just see appropriations once a year. And that's really my big concern, not whether we pass this, but how do we get enough information to kind of know where we are periodically throughout the year and, be able to make decisions. And I don't want to hamstring the mayor and the city because we didn't get together because, we should have gotten together perhaps. I don't disagree with you that we should have gotten together, but if we didn't, it's not really, the mayor's fault that we didn't. But I know we've asked for information through the Finance Committee. I don't think we've ever gotten it. So that would be my concern. And then I know on the stormwater, the rains are heavier than ever, and that's climate change, act of God, or whatever. But we know we have an old sewer system that is not working optimally, especially when we don't do everything we can do to maintain it. And even though the answer we got here is $2 billion to do like wholesale repairs and replacements, the study of the basins will not cost that. It's almost like we did that sidewalk study that ranked projects by benefit and cost. And that way, when we, if we could have the study or a basin at a time, do a stormwater study to see what projects will buy us some more effectiveness in our system, because when we do them in isolation, like the one Ms. Abbott is doing, I know that they studied as much as they could study, but they didn't study the whole basin. But sometimes you spend a lot of money and it can be causing a problem upstream or downstream. And we just won't know that unless we do the whole study. So I just want to ask, I know the answer to our question was about what's the long-term plan, was that, oh, you know, all the repairs would cost over 2 billion. Are we gonna study, are we gonna do something besides, you know, say that it's gonna cost 2 billion? 'Cause
Looks like Chief Mitchell's preparing to respond.
Yeah, Mr. President, to Councilor Clark's point, yes, the PEP is working diligently with the Stormwater Management Division to make sure that we accurately know what needs to be done to do a deeper dive when it comes to our inlets, when it comes to our stormwater system, knowing that the price tag is on the low end, probably $2 billion. But we do agree with you that we do need to do a deeper dive to understand how the system does operate and how we need to find a solution, not just for this budget, but budgets to come. And we know it's not going to be a temporary fix, but we need a permanent solution more than anything.
Okay, so when you all do the studies, will we get the data so that, or get presentations?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that we can know we're making decisions according to some strategy, you know, that's gonna optimize the system.
Right. It's no different than the same studies we're doing for sidewalks and paving. It's also,
Yeah.
we won't hold that from the council or the public.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I would like to see that. I don't know that there's money. I mean, we can, you know, even if there's not money in the budget, if that's a priority, we could fund it later because every Tuesday's budget day, so.
Counselor Smitherman.
And, you know, Council Clark, you know, that's the thing with the budget. That's the one thing we can leverage, you know, request items like this is really the passage of the budget, because sometimes when the budget is passed, you know, it kind of, we'll have like this big hype for everything. I think, not that we forget, but it's just kind of like other things come along. And so I don't know if that's something like committee of the whole meeting needs to be restructured to the point that every quarterly for committee of the whole meetings, maybe that's a better meeting to have budget tracking information session just strictly for that committee of the whole. That way, you know, administration can know, okay, this quarterly is coming up, let's have this. You know, and like you said, I don't blame the mayor for it, but you know, we still have to do our jobs with that, even if that means, I'm not saying we delay it, but you know, I feel like we have so many issues that we still need questions for, and they always do a great job answering our questions, but I always feel like it's coming, but you can't really tell our residents it's coming when they're dealing with flooding, when they're dealing with animal control, you know what I'm saying, sidewalks, et cetera. So it's just really just getting, I guess, a better, deeper dive of answers, because when we go to these neighborhood meetings, y'all, it's just us. And I know y'all are frustrated because I'm frustrated, and we're having to answer all the questions for the city. And so we need to be equipped with all the information that we need to answer that. Like, for example, like I said, mine's BDOT, a lot of traffic calming. I can't answer BDOT questions because I'm not a BDOT expert, for example. So, you know, we just need just a little bit more help with getting more information consistently as well.
Okay. Counselor Moore, you have a question?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, you know, one of the greatest challenges that, you know, I'm seeing when I go to these different neighborhood meetings is, you know, with trash pickup, right? Trash and brush. And I know that there have been several trucks that have, you know, either gone down or, you know, that are not in rotation like they need to be. And so it causes a lot of backup. And so wanting to just make sure that we're doing our part and it's reflected in the budget that, you know, we are getting those trucks to be on road to pick up those different piles that need to be addressed. Because again, several residents call about, you know, trash and brush that's, you know, laying around on the road that needs to be, you know, collected. And I'm not sure if we know exactly what's going on in the departments that, you know, are serving as challenges to getting those trucks on the road. And so just wanted to make sure that that is something that is addressed as well.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on a 1-week delay for items 16 through 30 and item 33. Mr. Clerk, I'd like a roll call vote.
I have a
would you like-
question before we go.
I'm sorry.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Pro Tem.
Our delay is based on, we are putting into the motion that we will have a meeting to discuss this, or we're just delaying for a week? What is the action in between? Is that part of the motion? I'm just asking.
If the delay is approved, yes, you know, we can do a special call committee of the whole or in budget and finance, so that can certainly happen.
Would you like to add 31 and 32, or no?
I don't know that it's necessary, but sure, we could add that into the
I mean, it's
motion.
up to Council Clark, I guess, if it caused a problem. No, you had pulled 31 and 32 from the list.
Yeah, so items 31 and 32 are going to be considered separately. What we have before us right now are items 16 through 30 and item 33.
For delay, okay.
Yes.
Counselor Abbott.
Counselor Abbott.
Yes.
Counselor Clark.
Since I made the motion, I would just like to say that it seems that we have had sort of a conversation up here about what people are concerned about. And it may be that we don't need a delay. We just need to sharpen our pencils, because I promise you, enforcement is going to non-enforcement is going to eat us alive. I think everybody in here experiences the fact that we don't have people out there finding this stuff because there's just not enough of them. And, you know, BJCTO, we can take care of them later when it comes before us. But I think I'm going to withdraw my motion, because I wanted to have a discussion and hear what other people were thinking. Some people obviously are perfectly happy with the budget the way it is, and there's just a few of us that have issues, but it appears that we can work them out. So I'm withdrawing my motion, and I'd like to make a new motion
Okay.
that we move ahead with approval of these items.
That's not me.
All right. Counselor Smitherman, you have a comment?
Just, if there is a surplus for the budget, I would just like a discussion before it's kind of allocated to see what things, our district need, for example, to maybe, address these issues we're having at this point for voting for the budget as well. Like reevaluating, do we need more money towards traffic calming, or what administration needs as well? So I would just like to put that out there.
Sure, absolutely. Chief Mitchell, when will the FY24 audit be completed?
It's actually completed and it's under peer review. We are going to meet with our external auditors probably within the next 2 weeks to brief the mayor, and then right after that, we'll brief the council with not just the audit results, but also a financial overview from our financial advisors. That we put it in the thing about Goodlow and Matthew Arrington.
All right. Councilor Williams, you have a question?
Yeah, I kind of want to go back to not waiting on the audit. I mean, I want to see the results of the audit, but I also want to see, when we know about where we are, and I think that goes back to what Ms. Clark said about budget tracking quarterly. I feel like that, I've been in a lot of meetings recently where people are misusing the term audit. We just want the raw financials pre-audited. And then we would like, obviously, to see the results of the audit, but that shouldn't be, the audit shouldn't hold back where we are at any point in time with income versus expenditures. That's, anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Okay. All right, so Counselor Abbott made a motion to,
Approve all of the items I removed from the agenda.
It's already there, we're good.
okay, so That's been motioned. Did we get a second on that?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Any additional discussion? Council Clark?
So I know the mayor's not here, but is there a commitment to the quarterly budget reconciliations? Do y'all feel comfortable? I mean, it's reasonable, but I just don't want, like, data I have to synthesize. I need an analysis from the finance people. And Chaz, I know you've been around here, and you too. Y'all been around here long enough that you know how it used to go. And, you know, I mean, some bar charts and pie charts is about all I need, something high level, just to know, you know, how we're doing according to projections, you know, where we are with salary surplus from unfilled positions for that quarter. And I know y'all close the books every day, so like, you know, like he's saying, it's not audited, it's where we are in this budget. And I think, you know, that information would just go a long way in us not, as fiduciaries, not being in the dark.
Chief Mitchell?
Yeah, so Mr. President, Councilor Clark, so we are committed to that because I have already tasked the finance department and our CFO, who's right there, to commit to making sure that I know we were delayed with the network disruption, not blaming the network disruption and everything that happened with that, but they are tasked to go ahead and start completing more in-depth analysis on our monthly financials. So we are committed to that. And we'll follow with the mayor if we want to do some type of quarterly presentation to the council, just to give them, you know, the overlook or the overview of how our financials are trending quarterly. That's fine.
Okay. All right. Now, I believe we're ready to vote.
No roll call this time?
I don't think that's necessary.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
All right. Items 16 through 30 and item 33 are approved. Item 31, please.
Item 31, an ordinance to adopt the Land Bank Authority Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025, as presented by the mayor on May the 14th, 2025. Motion, please.
All right. Councilor Clark, do you have discussion on this item? Okay. We're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Okay.
Ms.
Item-
Carrington, I'm sorry.
So item 31 is approved with Councilor Clark's abstention.
All right, got it.
Item 32.
Item 32, an ordinance to adopt the Community Development Block Grant Fund budget for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026, as presented by the mayor on May the 20th, 2025.
I move approval.
Been motion and second. Any discussion on item 32? We're ready for the vote.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Please note my abstention.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
So item 32 is approved.
All right.
That brings us to item 60, I believe.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
Item 60, please.
60. Okay, item 60. Item 60, a resolution setting a public hearing July the 29th, 2025 to consider the adoption of an ordinance to amend the zoning district map of the city of Birmingham. Case number ZAC 2025-5 to change zone district boundaries from D3 Single Family District to I1 Light Manufacturing District, filed by Robert H. Sprain, applicant for property located at 2542 Queenstown Road, situated in the south of Section 3, Section 3, Township 17, Range 1 West, 35210, Birmingham.
I move approval.
Second.
Item is before you.
All right, any discussion? We're ready for the vote.
All in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Item 60 is approved. That takes care of all of our business items. Now we'll go on to district announcements. Pro Tem Alexander.
Thank you very much. These are announcements for District 7. The Industrial Center neighborhood will meet Thursday, June 26th at 6 p.m. at the Mary Dorr Center. I have two announcements for some upcoming events to be held in the Oxmoor Valley community. First of all, on July 12th and July 26th, the Oxmoor Valley Community Farmers Market will be held. Each of those days it will be held from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, and it will be at the Ox Valley Community Center, which is 1992 Winona Oxmoor Road. And then but prior to that, on Saturday, July 5th, the Oxmoor Valley Community Summer Music Fest for 2025 will be held on Saturday, July 5th from 6 to 9 p.m. That will also be at the Ox Valley Community Center. This will include live music, food trucks, and family fun. So look forward to those activities that will be hosted in Oxmoor Valley. Speaking of Oxmoor Valley, that particular area in District 7, it is the South Precinct does support and provide police support for that area. So on June 26, 2025, there will be a meet and greet where they'll be hosting the new South Precinct Captain, Captain Julie Quigley Vining. And so we're asking all residents in Oxmoor Valley to come out for that particular meet and greet, and that will be at the South Precinct. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Councilor Williams.
Thank you. Next Economic Development and Tourism Committee meeting is July the 1st. If you have any submissions, please email them to india.bailey@birminghamal.gov by this Thursday. The World Police and Fire Games are beginning this Friday, which is the 27th, and they'll go through July the 6th. We're very excited. I think we have about roughly 70 countries represented and 8,000 athletes right now. I think we're still looking for volunteers, so if you're interested in participating, you can reach out to the World Police and Fire, or you can go to bhm2025.com. I'm going to read some announcements for Ms. Tate, since she is not here. Fountain Heights Neighborhood Association will be held at 6 o'clock at Fountain Heights Rec. Dolomite will be held at 6 o'clock at Westfield Dolomite. There are not dates on here, so I apologize about that. Union Ridge Neighborhood Meeting will be held Thursday, June the 26th at 5:30 at New Salem Baptist Church. Public Safety Meeting is canceled for today at 1 o'clock. The next one will be Tuesday, July the 8th at 1 o'clock in the council chambers. And that is all I have for Ms. Tate.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Williams. Councilor Woods.
Thank you. Good morning. A few announcements. One, just really want to shout out our teams that work on our community gardens. About 5 years ago, we created a community garden at East Pinson Valley Rec Center. That group of citizens has really worked hard to keep that up. Recently, the Huffman neighborhood created a community garden, and that's been going strong. And wanted to shout both of them out because they're both harvesting fruits and vegetables, and like I said, just giving them away to the community. And so excited to kind of see those visions and stuff be walked out. So thank you.
All right, thank you, Councilor Woods. Councilor Smitherman.
Thank you, Mr. President. As mentioned by Madam Pro Tem, there's a meet and greet for the new South Precinct Captain. This will be at 1320 19th Street South, Birmingham, Alabama, 35205. The Magic City Tool Bank will have their open house this Thursday from 3 to 4 p.m. This is located as a part of the Titusville Cultural Arts Center across from the Chevron gas station at 222 6th Avenue Southwest. We will be having our serve date in Arlington West End this Saturday starting at 8 a.m. We will be meeting at Hemp Hill Elementary School. So if there are any men that have trucks, lawnmowers, we'll also be partnering with the Magic City Tool Bank for tools. So if you'd like to volunteer, please call my office at 205-254-2358. The next Budget and Finance meeting will be on Monday, July 7th at 3:30 p.m. Submissions are due Wednesday, July 2nd by noon. Submissions received afternoon will be placed on the next Budget and Finance agenda. And then, as Councilor Williams mentioned, the World Police and Fire Games are here. The opening ceremony is this Friday at 7 p.m. You can see the athletes parade in at 6 p.m. This is at the BJCC Legacy Arena. All of the events are free to the public, so please attend. This is a really great event, a lot of fun, and it's cool to interact with people from different countries. And then lastly, I have a friend, well, I was friends with her brother too. They're having a run to kind of, in honor of Men's Mental Health Month, which is this month. It's in honor of Rickney Hunter. He committed suicide last year. And it's called the Miles for Minds 3K, Running for Healing and Hope. The 3K is at 8 a.m. and then the 1 mile is at 9 p.m. And I forgot the name of the park, but it'll be at the main park that's in Bessemer, Alabama. So thank you, Mr. President.
And thank you, Councilor Smitham and Councilor Abbott.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next Planning and Zoning Committee meeting was scheduled for tomorrow, June 25th. However, it has been canceled, so the members can have their afternoon back. Neighborhood Association meetings tonight. We have Redmont Neighborhood meeting at 5 o'clock at the Botanical Gardens. The North Side, South Side Framework Plan rezoning meeting is being held here in the council chambers tomorrow at 5 o'clock to discuss the rezoning of the north side and the south side. So property owners need to be paying attention because the letter that went out didn't tell them what their zoning was and it didn't tell them what it was changing to, and it was supposed to. So if you receive one of those letters, you'd best show up at the meeting and voice your opinion and find out what's happening to your property. Also, I know that Councilor Smitherman already mentioned it, but the meet and greet with the new captain of the South Precinct is June 26th, which is Thursday evening at 6:30 at the precinct. And I believe she's our first female captain at the South Precinct ever, so I don't remember another one, but I've been thinking about it. Let's see, and if you have issues or concerns, of course, you should call 311. Posting it on Nextdoor is meaningless. You can tell everybody how mad you are and how terrible the city is, but it's not going to get your problem addressed. So try 311 or download the My Birmingham 311 app on your phone, because I see all kinds of things, people complaining, reporting things on Nextdoor, and there might be somebody looking at it, but it's probably not the right people. And that is it for me, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Abbott. Councilor Moore.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today we have the Norwood Neighborhood Association meeting that will take place at 6 p.m. on Zoom. We also have the Harriman Park Neighborhood Association that will take place this Thursday at 4:30 at the Harriman Park Recreation Center. Wanted to, shout out Polaris Birmingham for a successful Ideas to Impact week. Several panel discussions that took place and a lot of great information that went forth about fashion, about the food industry, as well as, even how to, be able to scale your business. So wanted to give a shout out to Alicia Levels Moore for the work that she has done and her team in creating that event. It was really cool too, because it was one of the first first events that I was able to see where folks were able to not only have a panel discussion, but then afterwards start thinking about how the folks in the room can work together to, create social enterprises, or, being able to really work together to take the information that they receive and implement it right away. So that was cool. Wanted to also give a shout out to the Kingston neighborhood as well, who was able to have their One Kingston event. Today I am wearing a shirt in honor of that event with Stockham Park. Of course, you all know that, we celebrated Juneteenth, and so the Kingston Neighborhood Association, along with the Housing Authority with Mr. Eldridge Knighton and Brenda Holyfield, and Woodlawn United, Ms. Shawn, they all came together to put on a community event for families, residents, to just really be able to come together as one community. A lot of folks know about, Baby Kingston, Cross 10th, and so many other names that people have for their block or their street. But this was an opportunity for everybody to come together and be one. So wanted to just give them a shout out. And then last but not least, I know that, school is out and, everybody is gearing up for the new school year. Birmingham is very a beautiful place because we have so many folks that love to be philanthropic and give back to our young people by way of book bags and school supplies. And so one of the things that I want to encourage all of these organizations to do is partner with your local schools. Partner with, a school in the area, or at the very least, partner with, the Board of Education. A lot of times we have students that, will receive multiple different book bags, multiple different school supplies, and won't even show up for the first day of school. And so the goal is to use these supplies as a incentive for folks to register for school. So if you can, please partner with the local school, partner with the Board of Education, that would be awesome, awesome, awesome. By way of Mr. Willie Jenkins Vacation Bible School, starts this week, June 23rd through the 27th at Oak Street Baptist Church in Collegeville from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. under the leadership of Pastor Dr. Patrick A. Elroy. Yes, sir. And then wanted to also make mention that pastor's anniversary for Reverend James Carver and Beverly Carver, James Caver and Beverly Caver at Christian Valley Baptist Church in Collegeville. The appreciation will be the fourth Sunday in July, July 27th. The program will be at 11 a.m. So, thank you. That concludes my announcements.
All right, thank you, Councilor Moore. And Councilor Clark.
Thank you, Mr. President. In District...
Sorry, I don't understand.
Oops. Wait a minute. Siri's trying to talk back. But anyway, in District 8, we have the Bush Hills Neighborhood Meeting today at 6:30 in the Bush Hills Connection Complex, which is the former Woodrow Wilson School Auditorium. We're also going to join the Housing Authority and the Birmingham District and the city's Community Development Department for an update meeting on Choice Neighborhood Initiative grant. And I know this is primarily in District 5, so I don't know if Council President's going to announce this too. But come hear about the next steps for the Smithfield community. Let your voice be heard and stay informed about the future of historic Smithfield area. The meeting will take place Thursday, June 26th at 6 p.m. at the Legion Field Press Box. If you've ever wanted to learn the latest line dances, such as Boots on the Ground and Cupid's Flex, several Birmingham Public Library branches are hosting line dance classes, and you can join these free fun events at the 5 Points West Regional Library on July 7th, July 21st, August 4th, and August 18th from 11:30 to 12:30. So you don't want to miss out. Congratulations to Major League Baseball, Friends of Rickwood, and all of us here in the city for hosting a wonderful East-West Classic in celebration of Juneteenth and in honor of the Negro Leagues. Even with a significant rain delay, fans filled Rickwood to see Prince Fielder go hard and win the home run derby. And I look forward to this continued partnership and hope we'll have them back again. Also note, finally, that Silver and Ceremony is a new exhibition that opened this past Saturday at the Birmingham Museum of Art. You can stop by to see this dazzling exhibition showcasing the beauty, craftsmanship, and cultural significance of silver across Southern Asia from 1830 to 1930. You can come see how these objects shine and maybe even wink back at you. The Birmingham Museum of Art is free to all and a wonderful respite from this extreme heat we've been having. That concludes my remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Clark. It's already mentioned in Councilor Tate's announcements, but the Fountain Heights Neighborhood Association will meet tonight at 6 p.m. at the Fountain Heights Rec Center. So just want to point out that if you live in the Thomas Jefferson Towers, the Phoenix Building, the 600 Building, you're in the Fountain Heights neighborhood, and I certainly encourage all of those residents to make the short trip up to the Fountain Heights Rec Center this evening at 6 p.m. and meet your neighbors that live on the north side of the neighborhood and participate in the neighborhood association meeting. Crestwood North Neighborhood Association will also happen tonight at 6:30 p.m. at Girls Incorporated at 5130 8th Court South. Transportation and Infrastructure Committee meeting will take place on Monday, July 14th at 2 p.m. here in the council chambers. If you have agenda items to submit, please contact kimberly.phillips@birminghamal.gov. Creed 63 is having a festival to celebrate its 4th anniversary celebration market and podcast festival. That is Saturday, June 28th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. at 16th Street North between 4th Avenue and 5th Avenue North. They will have food trucks, vendors, and music. And please save the date for the annual District 5 Health Fair that will take place on Thursday, July 24th, 2025, from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. at A.H. Parker High School. For additional details and to participate, please contact the District 5 office at 205-254-2679. Mr. Clerk, I had a question for you. So some years ago, we were using a Granicus system to do our voting and keep track of speaker requests. Are we ever going to return to that?
Well, the kind of issue with the iPad surface when we had the network disruption as far as the internet, and so that's kind of what we were trying to work out with the IMS next door. So I'll have to get back with the IMS director and see if we can try to deploy the iPads again. But that kind of restarted everything when we had the network disruption.
Okay, all right. In particular, that speaker, request to speak was, a particularly useful function. I've got to keep my head on a swivel up here to keep track of who's,
Understood.
Asking to be recognized. So, it would be helpful, if for nothing else than that sole
Yes, sir.
function. Council, we also have a meeting in Conference Room A immediately following this meeting. And Councilor Smitherman, you had one additional
Yes,
announcement.
I apologize. The correct date for the next Budget and Finance meeting will actually be Monday, July 14th, and submissions are due Wednesday, July 9th by noon. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Clerk, we're ready for our public speakers.
Tyrone Richardson.
Mr. Richardson, as you approach the lectern, please remember to state your name and address. You will have 3 minutes, then your time will be displayed on the monitors behind us. Thank you.
Yes, good afternoon. Yes,
Please speak into the mic. Yeah.
good afternoon. My name is Tyrone Richardson. I live at 808 79th Street South. I'm standing before you. I'm not going to hold you up too long, but the issues I have, I want to say about what the councilman lady said about the trees and stuff earlier, about not being the city issue. It is a city issue when you're not pruning your trees that's overbearing or over a person's property. If you don't prune your trees and they fall over, it is your problem. It ain't the person on the property. If you prune your tree, cut the limbs and hang it over, or go through the neighborhood and be aware of your trees on your property on the right of way, it is your problem. My insurance should cover your issue for not pruning your trees. Same for me. If my tree in my property fall on my neighbor property, if I don't prune it and I know it's hanging, I see it, it's an issue. But I didn't come for that. I just heard you say that. I thought it's not fair to say it's not the city problem when it is your problem, when it's not private property, it's city right of way. It's your right of way. We can't cut it. It's not our job to fix the city problem. But I came here for one thing. We have an issue on my street, and I've called the 311 about it for two or three years, and nobody even done anything about it. My street has been turned to a dumping ground, and I've called to ask the city to put a sign up. Explain to me what a sign's supposed to do. Is a sign supposed to stop somebody from doing, or what do a sign supposed to do? Cause unless you catch them, what a sign gonna do? You like putting a Band-Aid on a deep cut. It don't fix no problem, not a thing. You making yourself feel good by thinking that's fix the problem. That ain't the issue, that ain't the problem. We need some kind of camera or somebody to view the issues, fix the problem. Quit putting a Band-Aid on an issue that ain't fixing itself. Trash, overgrown grass, my neighbors don't cut their grass. It's crazy. I would talk to the engineers about the situation on the Rainway on my street. The area, I live on a cul-de-sac at the end. Everything from top of the hill come down to my front of my house. The rainwater goes under my driveway, out to a field on the side of my house. Somewhere along the line, the city dropped the ball. They didn't finish what they started before I bought the house. They started on a tunnel, a funnel that would lead from that area on down to something else, but they didn't finish it. It's nasty. I had to clean it up myself. It is not my property, but to sit there and not do anything, I'd be just as guilty as the person who dropped the ball. I got to clean it because it affect my property. I see it. It causes rodents, pests, everything. But I've called about it numerous times. Ain't got address, 311. Nobody never called back. It's sad that you can address a problem, but you can't handle it. I can't handle it myself. Not the proper way to do it. It's not fair. Thank you.
You're gonna point him to them?
Chief? Yes, sir. Mr. Richardson has met with members of our VDOT team, Planning, Engineering, and Permits, and DPW team, so they're investigating and working with him.
Okay. All right, thank you. Next speaker, please.
Keith Williams.
Good morning, afternoon. I'm Keith Williams. I reside at 456 Kappa Avenue South, Birmingham, Alabama 35205. I come to this council with a serious concern. Now, I live in North Titusville, and you probably know or don't know that North Titusville Neighborhood Association does not have a president and does not have a vice president. I believe we do have a secretary, and they've been having meetings, and they are run by the community resource officer, which is a paid employee of the city of Birmingham. Does this person have any authority or jurisdiction according to the community framework plan? Does this individual have the authority to conduct a neighborhood association meeting? Because right now we are not allowed to elect any officers due to some legal discrepancy that happened a couple of years ago. We didn't have an election last October. Because of this, I got an email that says that neighborhood elections was halted until further notice. I don't know any further developments with this litigation that went forth. We are not sure if we're ever going to get this resolved. Now, I talked to community development. I talked to them twice, more than once, and I have not got any answer from them. And that's why I'm here. This is a rather unfortunate situation and could be a potential ethics violation if, in fact, that community development does not have any authority to conduct neighborhood association meetings. Is there anything in the community framework plan that gives a community resource officer the authority to conduct neighborhood meetings? Because we don't have a president and a vice president could easily allow the neighborhood to elect those officers so that we will have a president that will be able to fulfill the duties that are in the citizen participation plan. And I'm really concerned about this because I'm not getting answers from community development. I feel that they're giving me the runaround. And it's a real concern of mine. And I'd like some answers. This could be a potential ethics violation that is worthy of an investigation of this council. You know, because if it is, I don't want to have to take matters into my own hands. But if I don't get the answers that I need and seeking, then I will have to take matters into my own hands. Thank you.
Mr. Williams, I can give you a little bit of information. Attorney Sheffield may be able to elaborate. So I recently inquired with Attorney King about the status of the litigation that specifically deals with neighborhood association elections. And of course, you know, anybody who's paying attention knows that that litigation has caused us to delay the normal cycle. Again, it specifically involves neighborhood association elections. That litigation is progressing. There was recently some action taken by OCA to advance that case. We still don't have a definitive timeline, but it is moving.
Well,
Attorney Sheffield,
we're going to have another election coming up in October of next year. And how long will the city drag its feet on this situation? Because like my neighborhood, I'm sure there are other neighborhoods that are in the same boat, that we really do not have citizen-led participation. Instead, we got someone that is paid by the city
Mr. Williams,
to conduct
just
this
for
business.
a point of clarity, this is not an issue where the city is dragging its feet. We're at the mercy of the court in this situation. We don't determine their schedule or, you know, how quickly they take these matters up.
I understand that, but in the interest of transparency, I think that the public needs to know whatever information that y'all have, it needs to be public. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that y'all have any control over this. I'm just saying if y'all have information about this situation, then it needs to be made known to the public. That's all I'm saying.
So, Mr. President, I think we've, you know, allowed the speaker the opportunity to speak within the time frame, as well as giving him extra time afterwards to speak as well. And I think that, you know, the council has been extremely gracious. I would like to move on with our meeting.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, I want to thank our officers on duty, Officer Pinkard and Officer Square. Thank you for being with us. believe we're ready for a motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Being adjourned.